Alright, so how many do we have left in the random portion? Random portion ends here, so we got 29 left. So let's see what we end up with next. Oh, 29. So Blue Thermal. I think this is a movie, I think. I'm not sure. So let's find out. Alright, well I made it about almost a half hour into Blue Thermal, which is a little short of a third of the run. So I made it about 30% into the film before I gave up. Honestly, like that whole first half hour, I was just going, this isn't good, but for something is compelling me about this. It's a very strange movie about like amateur aviation, like the gliders that glide on like air currents and stuff. And I was hooked at one point where it was like they basically find out that the girl is a fucking like savant when it comes to gliding and like detecting air currents. Like she can actually figure out what angle of attack she's at, or what her bank angle is or whatever, without even looking at instruments, which no one should be able to do, period. But anime suspension of disbelief, superpower, whatever. But the thing about this movie is everyone is just so fucking mean to this girl for no fucking reason. Like, she accidentally hits a tennis ball into a guy who then, like, gets knocked into a glider and breaks the wing. And they're just fucking shouting at her for this, even though it was very clearly an accident that could not have been predicted at all. She would not be held, like, financially liable in any way for this whatsoever. Because she didn't hit the plane herself, she hit someone else with a tennis ball, who then fell into the wing while he was wearing a fucking mascot costume. By the way, that guy's a complete fucking dick. And then, like, they just, like, keep shouting at her constantly after she, like, joins as a member of the aviation club. And what made me, like, stop watching this movie is, like, there's, like, 5 guys, like, ganging up on her because she lost a screwdriver in her back, because her back pocket had a hole in it. And, like, they're yelling at her over, like, tool management. And, like, this is her, like, fucking... It seems like this is her first day on the fucking team. And you're already yelling at her over shit like this? When she... There's no reason to be this fucking mean to this girl. Who, by the way, was very clearly not an anime voice actress, and everyone around her very clearly was an anime voice actor, so picked up on that right away. She's got a decent voice, but it definitely sticks out. That's kind of a theme that I've noticed with certain anime of this type that try to stand out as animation and not, like, stereotypical anime, but that's a whole other conversation. Speaking of animation, this is a fucking butt-ugly show. Holy shit. Except for the flight sequences. The flight sequences actually look pretty fun, but otherwise, this is a fucking ugly show. Not show, this is a movie. Fucking ugly-ass movie. Which, again, even more so, it shouldn't look this fucking ugly. It's a movie. Dear Lord, it is unpleasant to look at times. Oh, and then there was, like, a sexual assault scene at, like, 20-something minutes in, where, like, some girl grabs another girl's ass and starts talking about how overalls are supposed to be baggy and not tight on the ass. And I'm like, that's just sexual assault. These are adults. Doesn't matter if it's a girl grabbing another girl's ass. That was just sexual assault. And it's just played as a joke. Okay, but, yeah, not watching the rest of this movie because they are just being needlessly fucking mean to this girl over very tiny mistakes. So let's move on to whatever anime comes next. Alright. Blue Thermal. Off the list. Goodbye. Now let's see what we draw next. Crank it down. What's gonna be? 5. What is 5? Beast Tamer. I have absolutely no idea what this is. Let's find out. Holy fuck, this show is ugly. Okay, I made it about 10 minutes into Beast Tamer, which has a much longer light novel title that I refuse to learn. This show is so fucking boring and looks so goddamn ugly. Not even ugly, it's just so incredibly fucking mediocre. There is, like, no interest put into the visuals in any way whatsoever. It is so incredibly generic. It reminds me a lot of the art style for, if it's for my daughter, I would even defeat the Demon Lord, or whatever that show is, which was also incredibly fucking generic looking. This show, I think, was made by EMT Squared, which is a studio where almost immediately I will know that this show is going to look like ass if it comes from that studio. I believe I've only completed one show that's come from that studio, and that was High School Life of a Fudanshi, way back in, what was that, 2016, probably? Everything else I have dropped probably fairly early on. And this show's no exception. It sucks. And also the main character is just so generic and uninteresting and bland and not worth your time in any way whatsoever. The most interesting thing about this show is how fucking weird the OP is. Like, it starts with, like, this generic, like, electro-pop feel, and then there's, like, this weird, like, pseudo-rap verse thrown in there. It ends like a fucking J-rock song, and all of the visuals are just so incredibly, like, generic and tropey. It's like, this OP feels like it came from 2011. It is so, like, out of time for when this show aired. It's like remarkable. I don't understand how this OP got made this way, other than just, I hate using this word, but laziness, uninventiveness. This show sucks ass. Let's move on. Alright, let's take Beast Tamer off the list and move on to something else. I believe I'm down to 27 now, right? Yeah, so let's see what we get next. 1. The Ancient Magus Bride OVAs. Originally this was going to be in the summer season, but the subs for the 3rd episode got pushed back to fall. So let's go ahead and give it a rewatch for the first 2 episodes and then finish it out. Alright, I just finished the Ancient Magus Bride OVA, which I believe the full subtitle for is, what's it called? The Boy from the West and the Night of the Blue Storm. It's a 3-episode OVA that bridges Season 1 into Season 2. Haven't seen Season 2 yet, but I know it's like a college arc or whatever, and this OVA ends right as sort of like dovetailing into that. And this was fun. I actually watched the first 2 episodes for this, like, nine months ago now. But originally this was going to be part of, like, my summer season wrap-up, but Crunchyroll didn't have the subs up for episode 3 in time, so I just put it on the fall one, and then fall got pushed to forever, so now we're here. So I rewatched the first 2 episodes and then finished the 3rd one, and it was a fun time. It's a fun little magical adventure with a interesting little protagonist for this one. I wouldn't really say that Chisei is the protagonist of this particular arc. Well, I guess she's the protagonist, but it's not her story for this particular arc. It's this little boy named Gabriel, this kid with asthma who just wants to be able to be free from the constraints of his illness and the stuff that comes with it, the like insecurities of his parents and the constant like nagging that they have with him, his inability to run and play with other kids, and he ends up meeting this weird spirit kid who he calls Evan, and turns out to be part of the Wild Hunt, which I'm not super familiar with like British folklore, so I don't know a whole lot about the mythology of this series. Also, I haven't watched the first season since it aired like 5 years ago, so I'm mostly not remembering anything from that, but it slowly came back to me, just the general like vibes of all the characters. Not really any of the plot stuff, but like the vibes were there. I enjoyed all the retaining cast. Chisei was a little bland in this one, but again, it's not really her story for this arc. Elias is still Elias. Silky was kind of had some really cute moments in this one. But the main thrust of this one really is the Gabriel story and how he relates to Evan, and eventually how he kind of, their paths diverge, and the struggles that Gabriel goes through on where he wants to go with his life, or rather whether he wants to turn himself into a spirit and join the Wild Hunt. But yeah, this is just a fun little adventure. I think Gabriel was a really well-crafted character. Honestly, I could, like, for some reason, as this third episode was wrapping up, I was like, I could see this working as like a standalone movie. Like this story adapted out of context from the total context of the Ancient Magus Bride. This works well as just its own story. It's got a really basic like want versus need narrative. Gabriel wants to be free and do whatever he wants, but he needs to be more responsible with his body and how he takes care of himself. It's got really clear-cut like beginning, middle, and end, really clear-cut like arc that it goes through. This would work, like fill it out with another like 20 minutes of stuff, and reintroduce the fantasy elements, and this could just be its own movie apart from this franchise. So people who want to adapt anime into live action, there's your cue. Just do something with this. This could be like a fun little all ages film. Although I suppose the fantastical stuff might be a little bit more difficult to do in live action without a ton of CG. But speaking of the visuals, animation's still pretty solid. Again, it's been like 5 years since I saw the first season, but this does feel like a little bit of a step down, because like 2017, 2018, that was back when like Studio Wit was at their peak. That was like around season 2 of Attack on Titan, if I recall. Just after that, and the first half at least of Ancient Magus Bride was really fucking phenomenally animated. I'm just remembering brief flashes of stuff from that. And this OVA is not bad looking, especially like the color design really covers up for a lot of the less ambitious animation, let's call it. This is very pleasant to look at. It's just not quite as explosive as the main TV series. Hopefully season 2 gets its animation chops back. Now, this OVA is the first work under the Studio Kafka banner, I don't know how much staff from which studio came over to Studio Kafka. It looks pretty much the same. Doesn't look like... I don't think there was a huge departure in like character designs or anything like that. So hopefully season 2 still has the same animation chops as season 1. Oh, that's another thing. I forgot how good the fucking music in this show, anime is. Like, they really go all out. Often a little bit overboard. Like, sometimes the music is a little too much in terms of, like, complexity. Because this is just, like, full-on classical scoring a lot of the time. I think the composer's name is, like... sorry. What's the composer's name? Junichi Matsumoto, I think. And for, like, anime, he's pretty much just done this and Plunderer, apparently. I would like to see him in more anime. But, yeah, had a fun time with this one. Would recommend it if you liked the first season of this show. So now let's go over to the list and figure out where to put it. Alright, Ancient Magus Bride OVA is done. And we're going to put you, let's see, where did I say we're going to put you right in there, just above the Yuru Camp movie, and you get a decent 7. Good times. Alright, so that drops us down to 26 plus the end caps now. So let's figure out what comes next. 20. VAZZROCK, the animation. Okay. You know, sometimes I watch these shows where it's just a bunch of cute boys being cute, and I wonder if I would like the same show if it was a bunch of cute girls being cute. I'm pretty sure I wouldn't for this one, because I'm about 4 minutes in, and nobody has a personality except for one guy out of the 12 they've introduced. I lost count. Actually, no, I didn't even bother counting because I knew I wasn't going to care. Yeah. I'm sure they might do something endearing at some point, but yeah, this is not my speed at all. This is, like, I have liked cute boy shows before, like, The Royal Tutor, I thought was pretty good. What was that? Cute High Earth Defense Club Love? That was another good one. This is not one. It's, the character designs are really solid, even though they're kind of generic, but that's only because, they're barely moving. They're just close-up shots. And occasionally a medium shot of them just sitting there doing nothing, talking to the camera. Why am I even talking about this show? No one fucking watched this show. This is... See, now I'm spiraling again like I always do in these seasonal wrap-up show videos, but I had to try it just to be sure, because that's the point of the show, and that's the point of how I watch anime. Let's move on. Alright, VAZZROCK is done. Now let's see what we roll next. Nine is Renai Flops. I've actually heard a few people talking about this one. I think this one is like a goofy, ecchi series. Let's give it a go and see how it hold up. Well, I guess I get to be fair to both genders today, because that was not fun. I got about 7.5 minutes into Love Flops, is the full English translation, and I did not laugh a single time. I'm honestly not sure if it's doing the tropes purposefully to, like, point out that it's doing the trope. Because it's not actually pointing out that it's doing the tropes. it's just doing the very obvious tropes. So, like, good job. You just did the tropes. And two of them were the girl acting irrationally and just accusing the guy of ridiculous shit. The third girl punched him in the dick. Although it was kind of funny that he just straight up had a boner. That was mildly amusing. I didn't laugh, but it was mildly amusing. This show is not fun in any way. It's not the worst looking show, although the MC is fucking generic as hell. The color palette is what I would describe as like candy colored. It's very like this very bright, super saturated color design. But also like very light. It's not the worst thing ever, but I've seen it done way better in other places. Like even like Tokyo Mew Mew New has a better version of this color palette. Yeah, this was disappointing. Am I done with ecchi harem anime? I think I might be. Because this was painful. Let's move on. Okay, Red Eye Flops is done. Let's move on to something else. What's it gonna be? 6. Farming made me stronger. It's either gonna be a generic fantasy anime like Beast Tamer, or it's gonna be an isekai. Let's find out which one it is. I keep getting tricked by cute anime girls into watching way more of a show than I should. Not that I watched a lot of this show, but I watched like 10 minutes of it. But it's real bad. It's real bad. Now, one would wonder how I got past the opening sequence of really, really, really bad CG dragons. I'm talking like Fate Stay Night 06 level CG dragons. Looked like a fucking PS3 cutscene. It's not good. So one might wonder how I got past that, but you see, the CG is the better looking part of the show. Because the 2D animation's also fucking garbage. This is from, what's it called? Studio A-Cat? Which is another studio that I have dropped everything from so far. They did, what was that? That really shitty baseball anime from a little while ago. That all-girls baseball anime. There was another one they did recently. Oh, they did Battle Game in 5 Seconds, that super edgy one from a little while ago. This looks like fucking crap. It really does. The main character has like negative personality, and what little times he actually asserts agency make no sense whatsoever. Also, I hate like worlds that, like actual fantasy worlds that run on video game mechanics, like stat sheets and like pop-up screens and all that shit. I fucking hate that. I despise it. And it's used all the time here in fucking stupid ways. Honestly, if this had been fucking Anime Stardew Valley, I might have liked it a little more. Because that's kind of how it started off as. But, no. This is poo-poo. I'm starting to... I don't even know if, like, these are, like, isekai or just generic fantasy action anime. Because I'm not getting far enough into them to see whether they're isekai or not. I don't think it's an isekai, but I really don't fucking care to find out. Alright. Farming made me stronger
No, it fucking didn't. Off the list. So I think, yeah, that'll drop me down to the correct amount. So now we're doing the end cap show with Yama no Susume. Next, Summit. I just did a video about a bunch of the other seasons of this show for 12 days. So now I can finally get to season 4. Let's fucking go.
Alright, I just finished all of Yama no Susume Next Summit, which is the 4th season of Yama no Susume, and that was a grand old time. Possibly the best season yet. Either this one or season 3. I'm not sure, but this was really dang solid. Although I completely forgot that I had forgotten that the first 4 episodes of this are mostly recap. The first 4 episodes, it has like an opening skit, and then the rest of the episode recaps like the first 3 seasons of the series. And you know what? They were pretty okay recaps. It hasn't been too long since I've seen the first 3 seasons. I think it was like about a year ago now. So it was a decent refresher. I got all of the feels back from the previous seasons. And that helped bolster what we got with original content this season, which was basically just the next logical step from where we left off. On the one hand, we have Aoi gradually becoming more confident in herself as a social person, which was really fun to see. We see her interacting with other people from her class more. We see her taking on more leadership roles and planning stuff out more, with Hinata giving her a little push every so now and then, which was really fun to see. Their friendship is still like one of the best things about this series. I mean, all of the friendships in this are just like one of the best things about the series. Just seeing these characters interact with each other in this hobby that they love is so much fun. But yeah, Aoi definitely got the most character development this season, which was fun. And on the other hand, on the other side of Aoi's development, we have the second attempt at climbing Mount Fuji. That was, I think, the first attempt is definitely one of my favorite moments from this series so far. Just the way it's able to capture that disappointment and like inadequacy really well. And so being able to come back and do that second attempt, which still wasn't easy by any stretch for her, but to see her finally accomplish her goal and reach the summit was just incredibly gratifying. I definitely teared up a little bit. I especially loved like that scene like towards the very end where it's like she sees her past self and then she sees like her future self as a more experienced climber. I just thought that was a really nice abstract way to portray how she was feeling at the moment. Not a whole lot otherwise plot-wise about the series. I mean, it's Yama no Susume. Although I will say, definitely some notable Yuri vibes from Kokona and Honoka. I think it was around episode 8, I think. I'm like, damn, these bitches gay. Good for them. That was a really cute and charming episode. Honoka is one of my favorite characters in this series. Any screen time she gets is good screen time for me. So, would love to see, if this gets another season at some point, would love to see more of her. But yeah, the real start, obviously, for Yama no Susume is the animation and the artwork. Like, I made a whole video about this series for 12 days last year. It's called Animation You Can't Get Anywhere Else. And this season really hones in on that even more so. Like, the backgrounds and the landscapes are just so incredibly beautiful and awe-inspiring. Like, I think I said this in the video, but it's like, I don't get blown away by like landscape shots in anime very often, even in like stuff where that is the appeal, like Yuru Camp and stuff like that. It's very rare for something to make me go, wow, that's really fucking beautiful. But Yama no Susume does it like every episode, or at least every other episode, and it's just the best at it. And on top of that, you have like these incredibly specific and articulate character movements that you just don't see anywhere else in the industry. I've been watching anime going hardcore on watching anime for like 12 years, no, 11 years now, I think. Like, I've been watching anime my whole life, but I've started making a conscious effort to watch anime about 11 years ago. And I really can't say I've found anything else that looks like Yama no Susume, that moves like Yama no Susume, that feels like Yama no Susume. That's why I made that video. Well, it's part of the reason why I made the video. You can go watch the rest of that video for more details on that. But this is truly a special series in terms of like what it is putting on screen. It is, you're not going to find, if you have like an eye for animation, you're not going to find anything else like this outside of Yama no Susume. If there are other ones like this, I would certainly love for you to comment them in the comments below, because I would love to see more of it, because this stuff is just incredibly appealing. Now, it's like, not all of it's great. And I think I mentioned in the video, like, there's oftentimes a lot of like compositing issues in the series, but overall, it's just so incredibly unique in its presentation that I just love it for that. The story could be a little slow sometimes, and again, the animation's not always super up to snuff, but if you really appreciate animation, you should definitely check out Yama no Susume. And also, if you like cute girls doing cute things, because the girls are cute, and they are doing cute things. Yeah, I think that's really all I have to say on this one. Yama no Susume, good. Definitely one of the more underrated cute girls doing cute things series. So let's go figure out where to put this on the list.
Alright, Yama no Susume Next Summit is complete. And we're gonna put it, where did I just put it? We're gonna put it right above Orbital Children here, and you get a strong 7. It is still good.